can't believe I've binged 5 episodes of this awful show, but I don't think the intruder standing behind me knows that I can see him in the screen's reflection, and I don't want to find out what will happen if he realizes that I know he's there. When the news came that police had found my daughter dead, I was devastated. I didn't expect them to find her before I even reached the airport. My teenage boys resuscitated me after I drowned in a public pool. It's now been 2 years since I left the underworld, and I don't want my poor darlings to find out that their mom is really dead, and that I'm occupying her body. If you're performing CPR and you hear a crack, it means you've broken their ribcage. That's what they told us in first aid class. Nobody ever said anything about hearing squelching though, so I kept going just in case. Riddled with cancer, I begged the genie, "Please, I wish to be in perfect health." Days later, the withering doctor coughs and mutters, "I don't know why you're even here. You're in perfect health." As I was getting ready for bed, I knocked over the alarm clock on my bedside table. When I reached out in the dark to look for it on the ground, my hand was held by something cold. After we reached the room where they had kept the captured mermaid, we found out that she's actually a woman dressed in a costume. Had we known that it was just a scam, we would not have killed all the people in the public aquarium to save one of our own. My father owns a slaughterhouse for cows. I never knew cows wrote "help" on the windows. I installed a nanny cam in my daughter's teddy bear. She may be 35, but that doesn't mean she doesn't need mommy's watchful eye at all times. My friends are all ghost hunters. They've been coming over every Saturday night for the past 5 years for story night. They have never cared that I won't leave the house, which means they've never cared to notice I've been dead upstairs for just over 3 years. And that's why I'm always so skeptical that they have seen a ghost. The doctors told the amputee he might experience a phantom limb from time to time. Nobody prepared him for the moments, though, when he felt cold fingers brush across his phantom hand. I can't move, breathe, speak, or hear, and it's so dark all the time. If I knew it'd be this lonely, I would have been cremated instead. I woke up to hear knocking on glass. At first, I thought it was the window, until I heard it come from the mirror again. Working the night shift alone tonight, there is a face in the cellar staring at the security camera. They delivered the mannequins in bubble wrap, and from the main room, I begin to hear popping. She asked why I was breathing so heavily. I wasn't. My daughter won't stop crying and screaming in the middle of the night. I visit her grave and ask her to stop, but it doesn't help. My wife woke me up last night to tell me there was an intruder in our house. She was murdered by an intruder 2 years ago. The funeral attendees never came out of the catacombs. Something locked the crypt door from the inside. I was relieved when the officer finally got back to me. The call was coming from inside the house. Officer, I just looked away for a second, and my baby was gone. I sobbed helplessly. Yeah, that's much better. I sounded much more convincing this time, I thought with a smile as I finally picked up the phone to call the police. I found a dead body in my trunk today, which is strange because I remember putting two in there yesterday. I looked out my window, and the stars had gone away. I just saw my reflection blink. I kiss my wife and daughter goodnight before I go to sleep. When I wake up, I'm in a padded room, and the nurses tell me it was just a dream. If you get scared at night, don't keep your eyes closed for too long. There's a reason you're scared, and now you can't see it approach. I used a Ouija board yesterday, but I only asked one question and put it away. I got my answer today, written in blood on my ceiling. My husband woke me up by kissing my cheek when he got home late. This morning I checked my phone. He stayed with a friend last night. I like to sing in the shower sometimes. When I got out of the last one, the fogged up mirror read, "You have a lovely voice. I live alone." My wife just ran in to ask me if I was okay because she could hear my terrible coughing fit from across the house. I wasn't coughing. The upstairs neighbors are awfully noisy, I told my landlord. It's been vacant for months. I had a dream that a man was watching me sleep from outside my bedroom window. When I woke up, I found footprints inside, next to my bed. It's safe to come out now, sweetie, Dad said reassuringly, his blue eyes shining at me through the gap in the bedroom door. He's been saying that for hours, but it doesn't change the fact that my dad's eyes are green. My boyfriend has a collection he's very proud of. He never told me that he's been collecting souvenirs from the girlfriends he murdered. I have a reoccurring dream I'm murdered by a man I'd never met. I thought it was stupid until I went on a blind date and saw him at the table. The knife, it slices just like butter. I tried to be a loving mother. I was always told not to play with my food, as it is a blessing to eat. However, I'm one to tease my meals, and killing is always a treat. Read this after the day is nigh, and tonight you might possibly die. That one, that doesn't bode well for me as the narrator then, does it? As I played in the basement, Mother called me upstairs. From behind me, she whispered, "Don't go up there." I travel here and there so suddenly and never make a sound, slaying quickly, quietly, swiftly. Just don't turn around. Finally, to his car, he drove away from there as fast as he could. When he felt safe enough to breathe, a voice from the back seat said, "Leaving so soon?" Wrapped in sheets and cuddled in bed, you'll foolishly expose your sweet, precious head. I held my son's hand tightly as the cars whizzed past the sidewalk. With any luck, they won't find the rest of him, I muttered to myself. I was starving and lost in the woods until I found a hiker. I'm full now, I just wish she hadn't screamed so loud. I arrived at the funeral a few minutes late. Nobody acknowledged me, and I figured out why when I looked in the casket and saw myself. Being one of the first people on the moon has its perks. Being the only one to be forgotten doesn't. As I walked up to the driveway with my new friend, I introduced him to my dad. "What friend?" he asked with bewilderment in his eyes. She woke up to an unusual silence in their bedroom. She looked over as the thing that laid where her husband used to be rose from under the sheets. I've never seen anything like it. The way it screamed and crawled towards me. This thing is supposed to be my little brother. I'm all alone during a storm when the power goes out. Lightning strikes and there's a man standing in my hallway with a knife. I kept calling my girlfriend the day they buried me. She wouldn't answer. My cat is asleep beside my computer in his favorite spot. I've buried him 10 times. I've been scrubbing my hands nonstop for weeks. The blood just won't come off. I woke up to the smell of copper in the air. I had done it again. I look at my clock. It's 3:15 as a rotting corpse pushes fingers into my stomach. I scream in relief. It's only a dream. Looking at my clock, it's 3:14, and my closet door creaks open. When she turned around, she saw her own self dressed in different clothes. Her heart went into shock, and the other self gently helped her to the floor as she died. The cloven hoof prints were fresh. They were in sets of 2, staggered like a man running. I got a haunted doll in the mail today. Only I could find where she ran off to. I hear my daughter cry, "Mommy, I'm so cold. Please let me in." I shut the curtains, knowing she won't cry much longer in the snow. I open my front door to the frantic pounding of my next-door neighbor. To my horror, it was something that was wearing his skin. The stew I was eating was delicious, and I wanted to give my husband a taste. That's when I found his wedding ring in my bowl, still on his finger. Every morning, my husband tells me he loves me. I really wish he'd stop. I murdered him last year, but he still won't leave me alone. A smile of relief washed across his face, even with his arm swallowed nearly to the elbow by the drain, and he said, "I think I feel your ring." I smiled too and said, "Oh, that's great, love. And I know about Vanessa." The dog sits at my gate every morning and night when I leave and come home for work. Even after all this time, she can still smell her owner's blood on my hands. I'd been noticing it for months, that tiny lag in my reflection. Not that anyone believed me. Today was different. She didn't even attempt to mimic me. She stood there smiling. I think she wants to come out. "Oh, don't worry, dear. We're glad to have you for dinner," they said, smiling as I lie bound and gagged on the floor while they took their last bite of lunch. My husband. My kids were excited to tell me about the day they just had with their mother. My eyes watered as I pondered how to tell them she died this morning on the way to work. After dating all through high school and college, our daughter's boyfriend finally came by today to ask my husband and me for her hand. We gave it to him, hoping that he'll finally tell us where the rest of her is. Audra looked across the table to smile warmly at the loving faces of her husband and children. "I do so enjoy our time together," she whispered as she gently placed each of their severed heads back into the refrigerator. Through moon and fog, I run, branches whipping bare legs bloody, and race the hot breath that burp of hell against my nape. Closer, closer, until saliva spatters my skin. The thing with teeth wraps me in its mouth. I breathe in the gas and count back from 10 to get my tonsils removed. Looks like little Timmy is finally going to get a new heart, and I get a new car, I hear the doctors say as I fall into the void. I sat on my daughter's bed and sang her favorite song before giving her a kiss on the cheek, just as I've done every night since she was a baby. When I was done, smiled down at her, she whispered, "Mommy, please stop. You're dead." The girl pedaled quickly towards his car, droplets of water flying off her, leaving a trail on the sidewalk. He should have weighed down her body in the river, but as she came closer and the smell of rotten flesh overcame him, he realized it wouldn't have mattered. Being the last human alive isn't too bad. I just wish my hungry neighbors would leave me alone. There was a knock on my door. Something inside told me not to open the closet. There is a photo of me sleeping on beautiful red silk on my phone. What I don't know is how the phone got into the coffin with me. The voices won't stop bothering me to let them free. Maybe it's time to go into the basement and shut them up once and for all. I used to hate the sound of crickets outside the lonely farmhouse. Now, every time they go silent, I know that thing is passing by, and I pray for them to chirp again. I decided to kill off a few characters in the book I'm writing. It should definitely spice up this autobiography a little bit. Out of sheer boredom, I turned on the radio in my kidnapper's basement, only to hear that he had been arrested the day before. I thought they were still searching for me, but then I heard my own voice saying how glad I was to finally be found. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed that one. I know it's not like a super long video like I normally would do for these reading horror stories kind of thing, but I think two-sentence horror stories are pretty unique and cool, and a lot of fun because I could go through them kind of quickly and it doesn't destroy my voice by the end of it. But of course, credit to the authors where I could give them. Some of these were either anonymous or I got from a website that wasn't Reddit, so like I I didn't really have the means to gather the credit properly for them. But nonetheless, credit to the authors, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Of course, if you did like it, I would really appreciate if you let me know in the comments what you enjoyed, or if you have any suggestions of what you would like me to read next or anything like that. Also, please be sure to like and subscribe for similar content or gaming content. I mostly do gaming stuff, but every now and then I read because people seem to enjoy it. Stay spooky out there. Have a great night and or day. And thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe we'll read 100 two-sentence horror stories next time. Sorry I stopped on 80. I know it's a weird number. Alright, I'm rambling. Have a good night. Bye-bye.